Saturday, beautiful people. Shayla, hey, girl, hey. Y'all get a good rest yesterday. If you had a chance to rest, if you took the Sabbath, peaceful greetings, Uncle Nathaniel. All right, y'all. Well, happy Saturday. It is July the 3rd, 2021, day 196 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets under the 3-year consecutive day count, day 865. Today, y'all, we're reading Isaiah 34, 35, and 36. Then we'll pick up where we left off that on Thursday in Fossilized Customs on page 202. Yeah, page, actually, it might be. Yeah, 202. Okay, y'all. I was looking at something. I meant to come back and look at. Let me get to it. Okay. I was looking at something. I didn't go back and check what I said I was going to check. That's what I was looking at. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and start. Maybe pull this up real quick. Then we'll go ahead and do the Shema. Christy. Hey, girl. Hey. Okay, I got it going. All right, let's do the Shema. Hear, therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuwah, the Elohim of our fathers, has promised us in the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah, our mighty one, he is one. And you shall love Yahuwah, your Elohim, with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuwah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuwah, our mighty one, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive, as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before you, who are our mighty one, as he has commanded us. Trina, hey girl, hey. Auntie, Belinda Brown, shalom. Okay, y'all. Right here, message for the nation, starting at Isaiah chapter 34. Come here and listen, O nations of the earth. Let the world and everything in it hear my words. For Yahuwah is enraged against the nation. His fury is against all their armies. He will completely destroy them, dooming them to slaughter. Their dead will be left unburied, and the stench of rotting bodies will fill the land. The mountains will flow with their blood. The heavens above will melt away and disappear like a rolled up scroll. The stars will fall from the sky like withered leaves from a grapevine, or shriveled figs from a fig tree. And when my sword has finished its work in the heavens, it will fall upon Edom, the nation I have marked for destruction. The sword of Yahuwah is drenched with blood and covered with fat, with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of rams prepared for sacrifice. Yes, Yahuwah will offer a sacrifice in the city of Basra. He will make a mighty slaughter in Edom. Even men as strong as wild oxen will die, the young men alongside the veterans. The land will be soaked with blood, and the soil enriched with fat. For it is the day of Yahuwah's revenge, the year when Edom will be paid back for all it did to Israel. The streams of Edom will be filled with burning pitch, and the ground will be covered with fire. This judgment on Edom will never end. The smoke of its burning will rise forever. The land will lie deserted from generation to generation. No one will live there anymore. It would be haunted by desert owl and the screech. It would be haunted by the desert owl and the screech owl, the great owl and the raven. For Yahuwah would measure that land carefully. He will measure it for chaos and destruction. It will be called the land of nothing, and all its nobles will soon be gone. Thorns will overrun its palaces, nettles and thistles will grow in its forts. The ruins will become a haunt for jackals and a home for owls. Desert animals will mingle there with hyenas, their howls filling the night. Wild goats will bleat at one another among the ruins, and night creatures will come there to rest. There the owl will make her nest and lay her eggs. She will hatch her young and cover them with her wings. And the buzzards will come, each one with its mate. Search for the book of Yahuwah and see what he will do. Not one of the birds and animals will be missing, and none will lack a mate, as Yahuwah has promised this. His spirit will make it all come true. He has surveyed and divided the land and deeded it over to those creatures. They will possess it forever, from generation to generation. Isaiah chapter 35, that's pretty clear cut, right? Hope for restoration. Even the wilderness and desert will be glad in those days. The wasteland will rejoice and blossom with spring crocuses. Yes, there will be an abundance of flowers and singing and joy. The deserts will become as green as the mountains of Lebanon, as lovely as Mount Carmel or the plain of Sharon. There, Yahuwah will display his glory, the splendor of our mighty one. With this news, strengthen those who have tired hands and encourage those who have weak knees. Say to those with fearful hearts, be strong and do not fear, for your God is coming to destroy your enemies. He is coming to save you. When he comes, he will open the eyes of the blind and unplug the ears of the deaf. The lame will leap like a deer, and those who cannot speak will sing for joy. Springs will gush forth in the wilderness, and streams will water the wasteland. The parched ground will become a pool, and the springs of water will satisfy the thirsty land. Marsh, grass, and reeds and rushes will flourish where desert jackals once lived. A great road will go through that once deserted land. It will be named the highway of holiness. Evil minded people will never travel on it. It will only be for those who walk in Yahuwah's ways. Fools will never walk there. Lions will lurk along its course. Lions will not lurk along its course, nor any other ferocious beast. There will be no other dangers. Only the redeemed will walk on it. Those who have been ransomed by Yahuwah will return. They will enter Jerusalem singing, crowned with everlasting joy. Sorrow and mourning will disappear, and they will be filled with joy and gladness. Last chapter for today, y'all. Isaiah chapter 36. Divine blessings. Assyria invades Judah. In the 14th year of King Hezekiah's reign, King Sennacherib of Assyria came to attack the fortified towns of Judah and conquered them. Then the king of Assyria sent his chief of staff from Lachish with a huge army to confront King Hezekiah in Jerusalem. The Assyrians took up a position beside the aqueduct that feeds water into the upper pool near the road leading to the theater where cloth is washed. These are the officials who went out to meet them: Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, the palace administrator; Shebna, the court secretary, and Joah, son of Asaph, the royal historian. Then the Assyrian king's chief of staff told them to give this message to Hezekiah. This is what the great king of Assyria says. What are you trusting in that makes you so confident? Do you think that mere words can substitute for military skill and strength? Who are you counting on that you have rebelled against me? On Egypt? If you lean on Egypt, it will be like a reed that splinters beneath your weight and pierces your hand. Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, is completely unreliable. Perhaps you will say to me, we are trusting in the Lord our God. But isn't he the one who was insulted by Hezekiah? Didn't Hezekiah tear down his shrines and altars and make everyone in Judah and Jerusalem worship only at the altar here in Jerusalem? I tell you what, strike a bargain with my master, the king of Assyria, and I will give you 2,000 horses if you can find that many men to ride on them. With your tiny army, how can you think of challenging the weakest contingent of my master's troops, even with the help of Egypt's chariots and charioteers? What's more, do you think that we have invaded your land without Yahuwah's direction? Yahuwah himself told us, attack this land and destroy it. Then Eliakim, Shebna, and Joah said to the Assyrian chief of staff, please speak to us in Aramaic, for we understand it well. Don't speak in Hebrew, for the people on the wall will hear. But Sennacherib's chief of staff replied, do you think my master sent this message only to you and your master? He wants all the people to hear it. For when we put this city under siege, they will suffer along with you. They will be so hungry and thirsty that they will eat their own dung and drink their own urine. Then the chief of staff understood and shouted in Hebrew to the people on the wall, listen to this message from the great king of Assyria. This is what the king says. Don't let Hezekiah deceive you. He will never be able to rescue you. Don't let him fool you into trusting in the Lord, saying the Lord will surely rescue us. The city will never fall into the hands of the Assyrian king. Don't listen to Hezekiah. These are the terms of the king of Assyria's offering. Make peace with me, open the gates and come out. Then each of you can continue eating from your own grapevine and fig tree and drinking from your own well. Then I will arrange to take you to another land like this one, a land of grain and new wine, bread and vineyards. Don't let Hezekiah mislead you by saying, the Lord will rescue us. Have the gods of any other nations ever saved their people from the king of Assyria? What happened to the gods of Hamath and Arpad? What about the gods of Sepharim? Did any god rescue Samaria from my power? What god of any nation has ever been able to save its people from my power? So what makes you think that Yahuwah can rescue Jerusalem from me? But the people were silent and didn't utter a word because Hezekiah had commanded them, do not answer him. Then Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, the palace administrator, Shebna, the court secretary, and Joah, son of Asaph, the royal historian, went back to Hezekiah. They tore their clothes in despair, and they went in to see the king and told him what the Assyrian chief of staff had said. And I know this is a terrible place to stop the story, but this is where we stop for today. Like, that's the reading. That was really short, right? That was extremely short. That was only like, what? Maybe 10 minutes. Okay, y'all. So let's go ahead and hop on over to Fossilized Custom. All right, y'all. There too. We stopped yesterday. Not yesterday. Thursday. Was talking about the first struggle, which was obedience, right? And was kind of going through these things, and he was still relating like the Passover lamb with the human sacrifice and stuff, right? So we spent a little bit of time correcting that. So we stopped. because he starts with an example. I just want to see what his example is leading to. I would meant to come back and check it. Let's see. I think it'll be all right. I'll just read it like it is. Okay. All right. At 1 Corinthians 5, chapter 5, verses 7 through 10, Paul says, "For Mashiach, our Passover lamb, has been slain. Therefore, let us keep the festival not with the old yeast, but with the bread made without yeast, the bread of sincerity and truth." Christendom has called Sabbaths and festivals, such as Passover, legalistic and a yoke of bondage, missing the meaning. It turned previously pagan observances into its own false worship or strange fire and made man-made traditions replace the Torah observances. Christianity developed from Catholicism's catechetical school in Alexandria, later giving birth to her daughters, the Reformers. It has never had a Passover, but instead invented their own methods bent on plunder and deception, reinventing previously pagan observances, mixing the clean with the unclean and darkness with light. If the blind lead the blind, both will fall into a pit. If you're asking men who are blind to show you the narrow way, what would be the end of it? Test everything, right? And that's what we're about here. We testing everything. It don't matter what people telling us, pastor, preacher, teacher, evangelist, I don't care, your most spiritual person, we testing your words, right? We've been deceived for way too long. We've been deceived for way too long. Try circling every occurrence in Acts where the word Sabbath occurs, and you will begin to see the truth, and it will set you free. How evil it would have been if we had simply inherited the tradition of obeying the fourth commandment as it is written. Sabbath, aka Pentecost, is one of the commanded festivals in Leviticus 23 and commemorates the giving of the Torah at Sinai. Nazarene have the Torah written on their hearts, fulfilling the prophesied renewed covenant described in Jeremiah 31 through 33, Ezekiel chapter 36, verses 26 and 27, and Hebrews chapter 10, verses 16. Satan has led away and deceived the whole world, and we have inherited the echoes of his sun worship pattern and not our father's pattern. We are labeled Judaizers for obeying the commandments and rejecting human traditions. When we stop searching for the place, the people, and the organizations and turn to Yahuwah as our teaching authority, he gives us the truth. He is wisdom, and by wisdom all things were created. In Daniel 11, chapter 33 to 35, describes the struggle with the great prostitute. In Daniel chapter 12, verse 10, is being fulfilled today. The Hebrew word for wisdom is chokmah. I probably said that wrong. Chokmah. I probably still said that wrong, right? Chochmah, right? I say chokmah, right? Chokmah. I'm sure they say it with a kind of a different type of utterance, right? With like the guttural sound and stuff, but it's spelled choch. Chochmah. So there you go. In him resides all the depths of wisdom, and he will equip us for every work we are to accomplish while in our flesh. The keys of the kingdom of Yahuwah have been given to us, and in our obedience to his Torah, we show our love for him. With the wisdom of the Torah, we can bind and loose, forbid and permit, so that others can be guided by the truth. There will be many times your steadfastness will be tested, but remember to keep your eyes on him, not the winds of human logic and tradition. All kinds of teachers say diverse things regarding when an appointed day begins, or certain rules regarding Sabbath and Kabbalistic leavening, or which is, they have in parentheses, puffed up knowledge. But remember, all you need is written down in the inspired word, which is useful for all teaching, rebuking, and correcting in righteousness. Practicing what it says will strengthen you like exercise strengthens muscle, and deeper understanding comes from observing the appointed times: Sabbath, Pesach, Shavuot, Yom Teruah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot, or Passover, unleavened bread, first fruits, trumpets, Day of Atonement, and tents or tabernacles. Right? They just gave you all the Hebrew terms for it. Right? Remember how I told you a lot of people don't really get like deeper understanding of the scriptures. They just kind of know like the basic stories that we read, but they really don't understand the underlying principles and how they come alive in our life in every generation. It's almost impossible for you to get that if you don't even just begin to do the surface stuff like keeping the commandments sacred. Just keep the commandments, right? Keeping them not with the intent, oh, this is what we're supposed to do, so I'm going to do it, right? You can do that and okay, but you'll live and die and go to your grave simply just doing that. But getting deeper understanding of the actual stories that were put in this book to kind of, it's like veiling a deeper truth, but there's basic things you can keep and you can physically walk in and do that while you're walking in them and keeping to them, not so much religiously, but out of a heart of doing what's right and really seeking y'all want to understand the truth. As you begin to do that and you begin to study and look into some things, you will really begin to see those underlying principles that are kind of like hidden in plain sight for those who will, shall I say, right? But anybody else, they can go read it, and it's literally like a closed book, and you're just reading words, and you would never get like we could literally like our teacher could hand us the same exact book. I.e., perfect example. Everybody can go pick up the Bible. It don't matter if everybody using the KJV, even those who everybody have the same exact version. The KJV, you will have one student who will take that book and read it simply for the stories, and you should read it. Start simply with so understand the story, right? Don't try and get any kind of deep interpretation. Just read it so you know what it says, right? And then you have somebody, they just read it like, okay, yeah, that's good. And go on living life, right? Then you have those ones that get it and they read it and they start researching some words they don't quite understand. Make sure they understand it appropriately. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, that's what that means. That's kind of like light surface, right? But as you begin to do it and you begin to think about it and start pondering on some of the stories and the underlying principles behind the parables of what it's trying to teach you, and then you begin to look at your life, your own experimental space, like all of the earth is something. I 100% agree with my uncle. And when he said this to me years ago, he said, Earth is literally like a lab, right? It truly is, right? Our lives is our whole experimentation lab, our families and everything. And when we learn about principles, we have the opportunity to put them into practice and like act them out and see truths come to life in our lives. Some people do, some people don't. But it doesn't matter where you get. It's not just people in the church, but no matter what culture or wherever on the earth you have been born into, everybody has the same opportunity, but your stories and your teachings are different from other places around the world. Yet those stories and parables and teachings hold the same underlying principles, right? And each of them, so far as I've gone through them, they are all pretty much portraying the same underlying principles, but they have stories that cover the principles. It kind of is. It's like when kids are learning something, it's easy to help them remember it by like doing it in song form because it helps them remember, right? But if you learn the song form and you get the story, you can kind of follow. As you get older, you can kind of pull out the principles because sometimes it's hard to just remember like raw data and facts. So if you put it in song form and kind of put a story around it, it'll help you to begin to think about it in the appropriate ways and how to bring it to life, right? And as we get older, we no longer need children's stories, right? We can kind of accelerate up the ladder of learning and understanding whereby most of the world is still stuck on the stories. It's amazing. It's amazing, right? And it's okay if you're stuck on the stories and that's all you want. That's okay. But for those who actually grow and live in this world and really understand what it is, oh, those stories are truly a basic foundation to kind of keep you on an appropriate path and teach you how to decipher between good and evil, right? So you can navigate your way through life. And it's amazing, right? And go back up here. I'll go back up here. But remember, all you need is the written down and inspired word, which is useful for all teaching, rebuking, and correcting in righteousness. Practicing what it says will strengthen you, like exercise strengthens the muscles, and deeper understanding comes from observing the appointed times: Sabbath, Pesach, Shavuot, Yom Teruah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot, which I also said is Sabbath, Passover, unleavened bread, first fruits, tents, trumpets, atonement, and tabernacles, right? The adversary hates the covenant and attacks Yahuwah's bride. His servants his servants you should avoid, because we have been warned not to cast our pearls before swine, or they will attack us. Right? And a lot of the deeper revelations and understanding that you get as you actually begin to internalize some of the stories that we have, you will pull great wisdom from it, and you can practice it and apply it to your life. Even the simple one that we talk about all the time, like fasting, right? There are deeper truths that will come to you simply by fasting, right? And bringing your own flesh under control. But a lot of those things you can't share with some people. Even something simple as not breaking your body down by eating flesh and blood. They will attack you, right? So that's sort of like casting your pearls among the swine. They don't know what to do with that. They just gonna trample it and attack you, right? So some of your wisdom should be kept for only yourself, especially people who are not even on the path of trying to understand and find true wisdom and understanding. They just going to take it. It's going to go in one ear and not the other. It's going to be completely worthless to them. Something of true riches and something that lengthens your life is worthless to them, right? Look, as Yahuwah's servants, you should avoid. I'm sorry, hold on. The adversary, it's talking about the adversary's servants, right? The adversary hates the covenant and attacks Yahuwah's bride. His servants, or Satan's, the adversary's servants, you should completely avoid them, right? His servants you should avoid, because we have been warned not to cast our pearls before swine, or they will attack us. In all things, be filled with love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. If you treat others as you would have them treat you, you will put others above your own needs and develop the character and behavior Yahuwah looks for in you. When we debate with someone who argues over the name or the Sabbaths, they are at a critical point. They really want to be shown the truth. Be patient and loving, and ask them if they love the commandments. This will give them a perspective, and all the scriptures stored in their hearts will convict them of sin. This is the beginning. They must be convicted of their sinfulness, but all their lives they have been programmed to believe their sins are covered and never start in the right place. They started out of step, right? Same thing we've been talking about all the time, learning about things in the church, or all saying, oh, all our sins are covered in the blood. It keeps you in a sleep state, not taking responsibility for your own life, right? Think about, you can look at this principle in your own life if you have children. Is that scripture in Galatians from anything in Torah? What scripture, Dana? Hold on. What scripture did I just read? Point it out, Dana. What scripture? The scripture in Galatians. Which one? Hold on, let me look up. That fruit is the spirit irritates me. The fruit of the spirit scripture. Not in those words. Not in those words. Galatians 5:23. Oh yeah, okay. The fruits of the spirit scripture. I would say not in those words, but let me say this. Let me say this. When we begin, this is, hear me out, right? Now I know I come down on a lot of stuff in the New Testament. That's not to negate some of the truths that are there, which have been taken from the Old Testament. But like I said, everything has to be tested, right? Think about this. Think about your life before you begin practicing Yahuwah's commandments, right? First of all, it's like, oh, we're supposed to be doing this, and let's just do this, right? So we do it because we find out we're supposed to be doing, even still not understanding some of the deeper truths, right? But what begins to happen? Like, what Galatians, let me just read Galatians 5:23. Hold my spot right here. Hold on. Hold my spot. I want to show you something. This is how we can learn how to stay on the straight and narrow, even with a lot of the garbage that's been added in. I'm gonna show y'all what I do. I'm gonna show you what I do. Because some of the stuff in the New Testament it's applicable. But I'm gonna show you how and why. Let me pull this up. Hear me out, y'all. Hear me out. Galatians, was it 5? Shalom, joy, 5. What's it? 5:23. Okay, 5:23. Let me hold on. Let me just blow it up. Okay. So it's talking about the fruits of the spirit. Galatians 5:23. Let's see. To me, it keeps us subservient. Where is eye for eye? Don't buck the system. I definitely see it from your perspective what you're talking about, but let me explain it from the way I look. Not that my interpretation of it is correct, but based on my last few years actually keeping the commandments of Yah, right? Now, first let's understand the commandments of Yah, right? They're not burdensome. Like you hear, they're not burdensome, but they truly do lead to life, right? Though even just those 10 commandments, they teach us how to love, right? First 4 are dedicated to Yah. The last 6 teaching us how to interact with community with one another, how not to violate our fellow brother or sister on this earth, no matter what color, nation, whatever, right? Just basic human decency, right? Okay. And it says right here, and I know it says the Holy Spirit. Listen, it says, and it's Galatians chapter 5, starting at let's go up. Let's go up to 16. I'll read all of this in context. So, I know y'all know it, but let's just read it, right? This first time we'd read anything seriously from the New Testament. Hold on. That might not be right verse going by memory. But yeah, you're right. But listen, let's just read it all in the context. It's talking about living by the Spirit's power, right? And now we know the Spirit is not this separate entity. It's literally like the Spirit of Yah. Like I like to look at it like, you know how somebody say, "Oh, you act just like your dad," or you get that from your daddy, or you operating in the spirit of your daddy, right? It's kind of like that, right? So us having Yahuwah's spirit would mean we operate like our Father operate, right? So that people can see His spirit on us. It says, "I am holy, therefore you be holy." So when we're acting as Yahuwah teaches us to act, we're acting in His spirit. It's okay. All right. So let's read this. Living by the Spirit's power. This is Galatians chapter 5, and we're going to start at verse 16, and we're going to come down to 23, right? Listen. It says, "So let the Holy Spirit guide your lives," or us, we know, let the Torah of Yah, or the Spirit of Yah, not this like third party entity, but let Yah, because remember, Yahuwah is one, right? We only hear and listen to Him. He'll bring us resources and different things from different avenues and different people, but it's all being directed by Him and Him alone. So let's kind of adjust the words a little bit, right? So I say, let Yahuwah guide your lives, right? And the commandments He's given us, let that be the guiding post for our life. So I say, let Yahuwah guide your lives. Then you won't be doing what your sinful nature craves. The sinful nature wants to do evil, which is just the opposite of what the Spirit of Yahuwah wants. And the Spirit of Yahuwah gives us desires that are the opposite of what the sinful nature desires. These two forces are constantly fighting one another, so you are not free to carry out your good intentions. But when you are directed by Yahuwah, you are not under the obligation. See right here, you are not under the obligation of the law of Moses, right? And see, if you don't really understand it, kind of get people twisted up, right? Because the Spirit of Yah is His commandment. So if you could just remove the law of Moses, because remember, the law of Moses is the law of Yah, right? It is His commandments. It is just given multiple names, but it was given directly by Yah to Moses. Moses was the medium in which Yahuwah taught the people. So people call it the law of Moses, which it's the law of Yah. It's Yahuwah's commandments, right? So when you're directed by Yahuwah, let's say you're not, and I think people twist this up really bad, and they have a poor understanding of it. When you are directed by Yah, you're not under the obligation of anybody else's commands or the boxes that they try to put you in, or indoctrination. That makes better sense, right? It says, when you follow the desires of your sinful nature, the results are very clear: sexual immorality, impurity, lustful pleasures, idolatry, sorcery, hostility, quarreling, jealousy, outbursts of anger, selfish ambition, dissension, division, envy, drunkenness, wild parties, and other sins like these. Let me tell you again, as I have before, that anyone living that sort of life will not inherit the kingdom of Yahuwah. Okay, so now that we understand that, we don't even have to look at this book and read this to know that that's true. Think about our own lives while we're growing up and the things that our flesh wants to do. And a lot of things we know that is not good, because that's going to, just think about all those different things, right? Selfish ambition, being selfish, outbursts of anger, constantly being angry all the time. It's going to create dissension around you with everybody you come in contact with, right? Hostility, idolatry, drunkenness. It'll kill your body, your liver, everything. And you don't even have to just be talking about alcohol, but you can be intoxicated with food, which is called gluttony. It's the same thing. All these things is complete truth, right? These type of things will lead you to an early grave. That's not a spiritual principle. That's true cut facts, right? Everybody can look at, yeah, you get all out of whack, right? So you need some type of balancing behavior, right? They call it a law, but it's not really like spiritual laws. These are physical laws that is not just they're not just a set of laws that are set for one type of people. This is true with every single human being on this earth, right? This is a natural principle, what they're talking about, because these things will literally lead you to an out of balance life. It'll lead you to an early grave. It literally will kill you spiritually, physically, and mentally. Though doing these types of actions will dumb you down, right? And it says, as I have said before, anyone living that sort of life will not inherit the kingdom of Yahuwah, right? Or eternal life, or understand, like we get into the whole, what they teach about eternal life is kind of off a little bit, right? Like, I'm really seeking wisdom on how to really open this up and explain this to y'all, but we're going to use the body, right? Something that we can all see and we can all test, so we can actually test these principles, and don't allow people's words and different cultures and the words they use to throw you off, right? Because people learn this in the language that they understand. And a lot of times when we hear it coming from different cultures, because they use a different word. Prime example. And you say this word in the church and people is ready to cast you out. If you say the word chakra in church, automatically people have been tuned. That is witchcraft. Stay away from it. But let's look at what a chakra is, right? Chakra is like a Sanskrit word. If you live in India, that's a normal term for you. But over here, don't use chakra with American people, right? It's going to completely throw them off, because what they're talking about when they're talking about chakras, they're talking about the human body. They're talking about the endocrine system. Medically, there are terms for this that everybody has in everybody's body, right? And that is the deception of all of this, right? Especially in the Christian church. They pit you against every other nation of people, when every other nation of people truly is learning the same exact principles in life, but their culture and their words are different, so they refer to it differently than we do. And when we're not familiar or understand those things, it's like there is unnecessary friction coming between our understanding, and it keeps us stagnant, and we will not understand. So now we're looking at it from all religious understanding, and it's completely wrong. But if you just look at it based understanding, a chakra, when you hear the word chakra, it's talking about what everybody has in their own. Every human being on this earth has chakra systems, right? Or energy systems going inside their body. Or if you look at it medically, what's actually physical that we can cut your body open and see, it's your endocrine system. Your glands and stuff that go through your body is centered throughout your body. Medical students know that. I really began to understand this as my sister was going through medical school. I kind of learned some of this from my grandma a little bit and going through her medical books, anatomy and physiology. So I have some of those books and I look into these. I was like, oh, that's what this is. And so they'll tell you, okay, so if they tell you your sacral chakra is out of alignment, you can if you understand the terminology, you can look at people and you can kind of tell what's going on with them, right? And so they list these chakras from the bottom to the top, meaning if you get these things in alignment, your life will come into alignment, right? And as you do, Dana, going back to what you said, it will begin to produce the fruits of righteousness, because as you balance your body out and deal with the issues, and in layman's terms, what it's talking about when talking about aligning your chakras, I mean, get yourself together. Like, you got all these mental problems and stuff going on with you, and it's really pointing out that you have things that you need to deal with in your life. And they refer to it with the body because it's been medically proven and scientifically tested. And I mentioned one of them the other day, like your liver. If your liver is dirty and it's out of whack, you can tell people who have dirty livers by two things physically, right? Something you can see and something you will experience with them, right? If they have a dirty liver, you can tell they have skin problems, right? Now, sometimes people be going through cleansing, they may get a pimple here, pimple there, but no, if they constantly have things going on with their skin, you can pinpoint that back to their liver. They need to do a flush, but it will also cause you to have anger issues, like alcoholics. You see people that are always mad, you will see alcoholics. Sometimes you got laid back alcoholics or whatever. But you have, and it's not just with that, it's a lot of different things we can bring in and use for examples. But if you look at the medical field and kind of look at these things, like, oh shoot, that's true. And it's been proven over and over and over again. So a lot of things people call witchcraft, it's completely not. You really, I like the word, you really have a weak understanding of what's really going on in this earth and even in our own lives and our own body. Right? Because everything that's going on with us, what's going on with us inwardly radiates outward, i.e. with our behavior, our understanding, the brain fog, the skin breaking out, diseases and stuff, things that we can see physically that have manifested themselves in this 3D realm where we can see are clear indications that something is going on in the inside of you that is out of whack, or your chakras are out of alignment, or your eating habits, like your sacral chakra, it represents your base animalistic nature, meaning people who have that, they're a lot of times if your sacral chakra, or the root chakra in you, which is the one that make sure which is the one that kind of talks about everything, like your security in life, insecurities, all of those things. That's what's there. If that's not intact, your life is a mess. Like people can't like hold steady jobs, and they're addicted to porn, and they have alcohol problems, or they have drug problems, right? All of that stuff stems back here because of security issues, and you need to work on that. As you begin to work on that, or people say you work on your sacral chakra and bring it into alignment, you begin to notice more stability comes to your life, right? And you have to deal with these things kind of like in levels. Like if you got a lot of different issues, if people have mental problems, you just can't give them drugs and kind of help them zone out. No, if they're having mental problems, that means something in them is out of alignment, meaning they have issues they need to deal with, right? So we need to address the problems appropriately, not medicate them, right? Medicating them is not helping the problem. You're further driving them into a state where it's going to kill them, and they're never going to get it fixed. They're never going to bring their lives into alignment, right? And if you have a life that's all out of whack, not in proper alignment, there is no way possible you can begin to experience the kingdom of Yahuwah, right? Like it uses it in the New Testament. I wouldn't necessarily use it in that fashion, where it says the kingdom of heaven is within you. But I understand that, and I can really understand now that the kingdom of heaven is literally within you. Because until you bring yourself into alignment and clean up your life inwardly so that it radiates and flows outwardly, you will never begin to experience the fullness of even what this life, and even understanding some of the principles and stuff who is teaching you, right? It's just like going through the process of learning how to take care of plants. Like, I think now that I'm gardening and stuff, Yahuwah, even through scriptures, all through the Torah, he is constantly talking about us being his vineyard, right? The earth is his vineyard, his garden, right? The entire earth is a garden, and he waters it. He gives it the sun and stuff, right? And he teaches us to be husbandmen on lower levels, and we begin to garden families and actually garden the earth and grow. And if we do it and actually learn as we go, it teaches you principles all throughout life, and we can apply. And then even our own bodies are gardens, right? The way that we feed it and give it natural sunlight and begin to clean it up, because we have bacteria growing in our bodies and stuff, and we need to be careful that there's not an overgrowth of pests that's going to throw our bodies out of alignment, right? There are certain pests we need in order to grow gardens. Like, we need worms, we need bees, we need some of those pests that are safe pests, right? The good bacteria in our body and our colon. We need those type of pests to help break down some of the other things, so we can get the full experience and get all the nutrients out of what we're putting into us, and making sure our bodies can assimilate it appropriately, right? We need some pests, but some pests we absolutely need to kill, right? Because they will come in and they will suck everything from you, and they will absolutely die. I mean, they need to die. They will cause you to die if you don't deal with it, right? Same thing. When you, like I said, I'm trying to help y'all. So if y'all kind of, when y'all hear these terms, you're not thrown into oblivion, like, oh no, get away, because you're going to miss some very valuable lessons that other nations can teach you with their understanding. It's a lot of understanding that has been cut off from the Western world simply because of terminology, right? And we talk about terminology, even the English language is the most filthiest language. But if we don't understand that, we don't understand that other cultures and nations actually have truths. Not one set of people has all of the truth. Like, different people all over the earth have different portions of the truth that they understand with absolute clarity, right? They may not have all the pieces, but they do have some absolute truth that's not being taught in other places. Every nation has its own bit of truth, whereby if they come together, everybody can take their truth, bring it together, and we can see a bigger picture, right? But it's hard sometimes getting people to work together. That's why progress a lot of times is slow. And uncovering lives and peeling back the layers of lives so you can see the truth is a slow process, right? Same thing with cleansing the body or cleansing your chakra systems, right? We're not going to use that word too much because it's going to throw people off. And this is first time some people hear, oh, nope, she a witch. I knew it. I'm like, because I get people that do that. I'm like, now I understand that they have a weak understanding. So I ain't real quick to snap back at them. I'm like, okay. Like a comment a lady left the other day. I said, you know what? I'll allow your comment to stay, simply because this is your response to me, or your response on my video is a perfect example of what this channel is all about. Like, uncovering lies so you can see the truth, not being so spooked out by words and stuff, right? So that's how I look at this, Dana, right? So if you look at this in Galatians, where it talks about what throws the body out of whack, because if you're going to wild party, you can't do this for long before you end up in the grave. You can't constantly be having selfish ambition and creating dissension and division between groups of people before you create a lot of enemies, right? You can't be envying. You can't be drunk all the time. You can't be a glutton. You can't be in wild parties all your life, right? Because it's going to kill you. That's a lot of strength in life that is being taken from you by doing these things, right? And it says those that keep on with this type of living, that anyone living that sort of life will not inherit the kingdom of Yahuwah. That is true. Or in the New Testament say inherit the kingdom of God. But we understand it. You're not going to be able to inherit the deeper truths, or some truths that are not even that deep for real, right? If you're constantly all over the place with these things, the things that people call sins, being out of sync or out of alignment with your chakras, or you look at it, your endocrine system, your glands and stuff, because when they become polluted, the entire body gets sick. One system directly affects the next, right? So if you see it sometime, if you ever go look into it, you see when it light up the chakras, it starts at the bottom, right? It starts at the bottom and light all the way up to the top. When you get to the crown chakra, meaning you brought your body into alignment, or pretty much you cleaned your life up, inwardly and outwardly. It's an inward thing that happens all the way down from not just your behaviors, but how you feed your body, how you nourish your body, no longer consuming flesh and blood. When you stop eating meat and dairy products, you'll realize brain fog clears. It's a different type of love that kind of kicks in. So that's where it kind of kicks in with the next verse, starting at verse 22. But the fruit of the spirit, or Yahuwah's spirit, in some versions says, but the Holy Spirit produces this kind of fruit in our lives: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. There is no law against these things, right? Now, my understanding of this is completely different now, and I agree with that. There is no law against these things, right? It's like Trina, page 203. Well, page 203. When you actually begin to do this and you clean up your body, or you align your chakras, if you over in India, what if they call it aligning your chakra system, right? Or you cleanse your, but when they align their chakras, not only are they just sitting there in the Indian style form doing like this and meditating. It's not just that, because Yahuwah tells us to meditate, right? You don't necessarily have to be sitting Indian style doing all this or whatever, but meditate, thinking about those things that are profitable for our lives, things you need to clear out of your life, spiritual principles you can meditate on and pull more understanding from as you begin to apply it, right? Those things, when you begin to do that and you cut off a lot of these other things that'll lead you to an early grave, when Yahuwah's Torah, his law literally begins to produce that type of life in us, where we look and understand, oh, I see why we can't do, I see why I can't eat meat, because it's going to cause this and this and that, right? And what can you say against someone who has cut out, who decided, ain't nobody making you do it, but if you choose to cut out flesh and blood from your diet, right? And your body only produces life. What can you say against that? Who can argue against that, right? So the king, that's in some church terms, the kingdom of Yah, right? Let me reword it. There is let's for the sake of terms, there is no law against these things. You really can't talk bad about these things, because as you practice it, your body will give you the truth, whether it's good or it's bad. Yes, Joy, yes, we have to let go of all this religious dogma, right? We just have to practice it, because those of us, example, we talk about it quite a lot, right? Those who are like, oh, we can eat meat, but we can eat clean meat. It's okay. Go ahead. If that's your understanding now, go ahead, do that, right? But my understanding is a little bit further than yours, because like I said, I gave y'all the process of me, okay, get rid of the unclean meats. Now I'm just completely consuming clean meats. But even while consuming clean meats, it's still breaking my body down. I'm still experiencing some of these things. It wasn't until I graduated from clean meats to no meats at all, whereby my life actually began to improve, right? It seemed like I began to kind of like age in reverse a little bit, right? The pains go away. Like, wait a minute, clean meats, pain, no meats, no pain. Yeah, I'm going to do away with meats altogether, right? But everybody has to grow in their own lane of time. Everybody has to grow how they grow. Like, everybody's growth process is different. Everybody's time process and how long it takes them to grow is different, right? And it all really comes back to here on how serious they are. Not saying that they aren't serious, but based on their understanding of things, around them in this life will determine how fast or how slow they grow, right? So now where I'm at, I'm growing. Y'all go back and watch some of these earlier videos that I've done, even in these last 3 years. I just sit back and I was like, man, ooh, I wish I hadn't started doing videos until now, but I think it's good because I see my own growth process on how even some things now that I'm adjusting, I was like, yeah, that's not true, because as I put it into practice in my life, how I believe it when actually getting results and testing it, some of my understanding I absolutely have to change, right? Because at first, nothing but clean meats, none of this other stuff. But until I actually began fasting and abstaining from meats altogether and putting it away, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm gonna tell you, all meat is bad for. What about the scripture say we nope? Now you're speaking against the taking out of context, and then you run into these things, right? So that's why a lot of times as people grow, they kind of tend to get quiet a little bit because everybody is not ready for higher levels of understanding, i.e., casting your pearl to the swine, right? Because their understanding is still weak and they haven't graduated as far as you have or haven't accelerated. They just move a little slower so they can't understand it. Just like some things, some principles you cannot teach to a child. Even while you're taking them through school and learning, there are some things that they absolutely must learn first before they can even, you can't just teach them how to do algebra if they haven't learned and been practicing basic addition and subtraction and multiplication. How dare you try to teach them a formula, right? And you haven't taught them individually how each formula isolated by itself works. It's impossible. You have a whole freak show on your hands, y'all, right? Yeah, right. Say great example. The great example, Dana, same thing with tithing. Stop giving to the church and was blessed even more. Yes, that is so true. And I shared a few stories about this from our own personal, because at first it's like, oh, things ain't being met because we're not giving to the church. So we was giving to the church and thousands of dollars. But it was like, wait a minute, something is wrong. Something is wrong. Let's just test this. We do this. And it seemed like when we stop giving to the church, and some people gonna crucify me for this, and some people gonna unsubscribe. That's okay. Your understanding is a little weaker than my understanding at this point, and that's okay, right? Come back later when you understand it. You know, when we stopped giving to the church, because the church was sucking our money away. When we decided when me and my husband came together and me and my husband decided how this money was going to be spent and who we were going to give this money to. Not saying that we stopped, because some places we did, but not because we watch your ministry, but maybe a certain cause that you have going on where you're working in a community that we can identify with, that we agree. We see progress. If you don't do nothing else but this right here in the community that you're doing, we see this big much, we're going to give to this, right? But it was our decision. And when we did that, that's when everything increased for us, right? And that's when we had this big boom and influx of money for our business. And it was like, wait, we gave a dime to the church. Yeah, okay, baby girl, take it out, right? But then when you grow another level, you encounter problems at the next level. I.e., we encountered this big influx of money. Now we enter into problems with the IRS, higher tax bracket, and it's just different levels of teaching and understanding. We had to work ourselves out of, we did not foresee this happening. Now they coming after us for all this money. Thank y'all, the money was there at this time for this. Okay, boom, boom, boom. So we have to learn when you graduate to new levels, there are a whole different set of rules and understanding that you have to have in order to successfully operate on that level. And each level you master, you can go up, right? Chakras surely came into alignment. Dana, look, chakras surely came into alignment after we stopped giving to the church. Less stress, worry, more peace. Yes, and amen on that, right? So once you master one level, you can, like it's in school, you can't graduate to the next grade until you pass the previous grade. Now, some people may pass you. You may be able to get to the next grade. But you can only go so far faking dumb. Faking like you smart when you're really dumb and things are not fusing together for you, right? So sooner or later, you're going to be found out and you're going to have to backtrack and fill in those missing pieces of information that you are missing in order for your understanding to no longer be weak and now have a sound and strong understanding of this level, right? Remember, anybody at higher levels can come back into lower levels because they mastered them. So anybody higher can come lower, but those lower cannot go higher, right? Impossible. And the church is like the lowest level. Like the church is living and dancing and thriving in the sacral chakra, right? All kinds of things is out of alignment. You're base knowledge. You are completely base knowledge. You are not going anywhere, right? Until you get out of this chakra, right? Then when you get this under control and your understanding about money and life and just how you operate with other people, until you get this in alignment, and now people can trust you, like you're safe to go to. People can trust their family around you. You can't move to that next level, right? You can't move from bread to orange. You gonna stay in red. I.e., you watching a lot of music videos and commercials. Red is the color because the sacral chakra, the color is red, right? And think about women seduction and stuff. That's the sacral chakra. People who are constantly in like adultery and fornication and stuff like that, they are living at the lowest level, right? They cannot get out of the sacral chakra. That is all out of whack in their life, right? Everything is unbalanced, right? Because if you can't keep yourself under control, even in your sexual nature, nothing else is going to thrive in your life. You're going to always be caught in porn. You're going to always be caught in illicit relationships. That's why you will constantly say, you guys are the greatest whore, right? He was talking about Israel, Jerusalem committing adultery. You're all out of whack, right? He said, I'm one lover, right? Me only, right? When guys, when I say I really want to teach y'all about this in ways, but I know we still got some people watching. They're gonna be like, oh, she in the witchcraft. No, I want to explode this to y'all from other cultures so you can see what other cultures see and how it's literally all the same thing and how Yahuwah has been talking about it from the very beginning, right? It's crazy, but all these things can be tested and proven even in our personal life. We ain't gotta look at nobody else and they chakras. Look at your own life. What kind of issues y'all have in your life? Y'all can sit here and throw out some issues y'all having, and I can tell you where you having your problem at. And I know the chakra. I picked this one. Okay, and I'll give you the chakra or the or what's going on in your body and even in your physical organs and stuff in your body, what you got going on with you. I can tell you what's going on with you, right? And a lot of people don't let them fool you. It's some people in church, some great televangelists that know this information, right? But they are charlatans in disguise. They are wolves in sheep's clothing. They'll take this information and they'll come to you like they're this great prophet and that they have been like this great mystery has been revealed to them when all actuality they actually understand some of this stuff. And because they know you're ignorant and you don't, they can play on your intelligence by just using some of these basic principles I'm kind of talking about a little bit, and you will think it's a word from God, right? You will think it's a word from the Most High. And it's absolutely not. It's really elementary, right? But a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people do not understand it. And that's how you have a lot of pastors and teachers and evangelists taking advantage of people and taking their money, right? This is basic understanding. This is ground level understanding, y'all. It is ground level understanding, right? So back to this, Dana, when you said Galatians verse 23, right? Verse 22. After we understand this about all these things that will not lead to life for you, right? The sexual immorality, impurity, lustful pleasure, idolatry, sorcery, hostility, quarreling, jealousy, outbursts of anger, selfish ambition, dissension, division, envy, drunkenness, wild parties, and other sins like these, gluttony. Let me tell you again, as I have before, that anyone living this sort of life will not inherit the kingdom of Yahuwah, or will not inherit the wisdom of Yahuwah, right? Because the kingdom of Yahuwah is truly within you. If you don't get this under control in your own life, you will never inherit the kingdom of Yah, because it really is within you. You have to understand it from the inside out, right? You have to understand it in order to be able to walk in and perform it, right? But the Spirit of Yah, His Torah, His commandments produces this kind of fruit in our lives, right? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And there is no law against these things, right? So don't let that particular scripture, Dana, don't let that irritate you, right? Really understand what it's saying and walk in that, because that's true all around the board. There's nothing religious. That is basic understanding in life with all people, right? It's true, and you can test it, right? And I say it all the time. Anything that Yahuwah gives us, we can test in our own bodies, in our own lives. If it's something that seems like it's conflicting, Like the meat is a big controversy amongst Jewish people that are waking up, coming out of church into the Hebrew roots. They find, oh, we can eat meat. Oh, you got the same thing they were talking about in the New Testament. You got dissensions among the brethren, about different things. Well, Jackson, you really don't need to argue. Let's just test the principle instead of yapping off at the mouth and going toe to toe and doing all of these discussions and debates and stuff. Let's just test it. Let's set aside some time and instead of debating, let our debate be the testing. Let's test it. Let's see results. Okay, now, based on the results on what we did, what seems to be the best course of action here? Nobody can come against that eating no meat. There's no law that you can, there is nothing bad that you can say against people who don't eat any meat, right? Because you'll clearly see that their lives increase, right? Their bodies heal themselves and their brain fog goes away. Just think about even in Daniel and Esther and the diets that they had, right? We ain't eating the king's meat. They was going through this same type of battle with the people, right? Oh, eat meat, you gonna have me in danger. My head to the king. Listen, test. They said, test us for 10 days, right? He said, test us, right? You feed them meat, then feed us only fruits and vegetables. And then you see after 10 days, you tell us. Observe and see the difference in the countenance of us and those who are eating from the king's table, right? And what happened? What happened? It was proven. Daniel, what you said is right. You know what? Okay, so there is no law, nothing bad that I can say against this. Clearly, you look a lot fatter. You look more healthy. Your skin is radiating and it's bright. Oh, they look greasy. Yeah, they look buff, but they greasy and buff. But you glistening. Like there is light radiating from you, and you look more healthy. Like you look like you can hike longer than what they could. They're gonna be out of breath. They got all these muscles and they showing off, but all that's for show. Like you got to show and you can prove. And that's all what Yahuwah's Torah is about, and actually keeping it. We have to test everything. Don't just say we test it. Actually go test it, right? And we can tell if you testing or not, or you just talking. Because eventually you can only test for so long before everybody else can begin to see results, right? It really is. It's really only so long you can put on a show. Mom, right? Look, I did. I see, baby. That's right. Lit. So even me, I had even thought about this while doing the video. I've been thinking about this because I'm doing another fast. I'm testing some stuff, y'all, not to just cleanse my body even more. But I'm like, you know what? I'm doing a morning videos. I'm like, I probably should do this. Maybe for those, because I know some people ask about it and they want to try it. So maybe if I put my results up there, not to show I'm more holy and I'm fasting this, no, not that. But a good teacher will teach you how to walk things out, right? So I figured that might be helpful for some people because I'm getting a lot of questions, right? And if I daily record or maybe during my 40-day fast, maybe do a weekly video, or maybe upload it or something for those that are going so they can kind of see my progress, right? Because you will see it. And what I realize, y'all, it blows my mind. There is no law against that. You cannot speak bad against that, right? And especially if it can be proven and you test it, this leads to life. What are y'all talking about, right? So a lot of times when you see this and you understand these things and your understanding is strengthened and you no longer have weak understanding of things, it's like, that's why you see a lot of, you notice a lot of times, you don't see a lot of wise people doing a lot of talking. People actually seek them out because they realize they cannot cast they cannot cast their pearls among the swine. Not because we think you filthy or you just know, because it's impossible for you to understand. I would literally be wasting my breath on you, right? And I'm not for wasting my breath. I'm all for increasing my life in every area, right? So when you're ready, look. Like my uncle said, Uncle Nathan, he said, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Like, so when you're ready for it, you come looking for the teacher, right? So, and then we'll know it's time to talk. We can reveal some things that help you understand some things from our personal experience and what we've tested, right? So if y'all see me start uploading, it ain't gonna be no daily updates, right? Because I'm maybe every 5 days or something. Because I'm already 5 days into this water fast, right? So I'll tell you just from the basic stuff of what you're going to experience with your body, this, be watching out for this. Keep going. When you hit this point, you have to be able to do it physically first before you can even begin to look for spiritual things to be happening. Like your fasting will quickly bring your sacral chakra or that root chakra in alignment. That I've learned that. If you got any kind of issues, pornography, sexual addictions, alcoholic addictions, drug addictions, any kind of food addictions, y'all. I'm telling you, addictions are handled at the base level, the base chakra, the which is it's really the energy point in our body that brings us security. When you deal with that, that is really, I'm going to tell you, that's probably the only way. Like, if you don't even begin to start fasting in your life, y'all going to go to an early grave, not ever really experiencing anything in life. You may have like some success out here, but you always going to have this sense of unfulfillment, and you always going to be at war within yourself. Even like what Paul talked about, those things that I desire to do, I don't do, and those things that I don't wish to do, I can't seem to stop doing, right? You're always at war within yourself. If you cannot begin to fast and learn to master the art of fasting, guys, your life is going to be very interesting and full of ups and downs, because balance can't even begin to happen unless you can learn how to master your own flesh. And getting that chakra, the root chakra, the sacral chakra into alignment, I would say the first two, the red and the orange, right? The root and the sacral, I shared it with you. If you go look at it, you will see a chart. If you put up like a chakra chart or something, it'll have the body, and you will see the colors, which is the colors of the rainbow, like all this stuff. Y'all begin to understand some of these things. You'll be like, what in the world? When you begin to look at this, it'll give the colors. But if you get a good chart and it shows the medical, the like the organs and stuff that are associated with those things, you can literally begin to look at your life like, wait a minute, whoa, yo, that's true, right? And if your throat chakra is out of alignment, if your throat chakra is out of alignment, you probably come out your mouth slick. You probably cursing people out all the time. If you're a teacher, your teaching is off, is misconstrued. Not saying that you don't grow or whatever, but this, you until you master different ones, you can't move to the higher one. And then when they talk about like the third eye, everybody has a pineal gland, the hypothalamus, all that stuff in the brain, the cranium, right? It deals with the brain and your way of thinking and seeing. If you haven't gotten this, your throat chakra, what you speak out of your mouth under control, speaking word curses, you will never connect with be able to see it. Hey. You will never be able to connect this and begin to see deeper truths, because you'll be constantly speaking word curses on yourself, and you're going to be defeating your own purpose, right? So everything has to be in alignment. What you speak and what you think in order to bring perfect unity. Echad, Yahuwah is Echad, right? He teaches us to love him and not to violate him. That principle carries over to marriage, right? Be faithful. Don't just be faithful to me. Be faithful to your spouse, right? Don't just be faithful to your spouse, but be faithful to your family. Be faithful to yourself. Be faithful to yourself and bring it under control. Don't allow different people to give you their thoughts on what you should be doing. They tested my throat chakra. Look, let me tell you, my family, my household is the perfect training ground for me, right? When y'all realize that where you have been born into, the family you have been sent into is the perfect training ground for you. It was designed specifically to be that way. My family has been my greatest boot camp. And everything that I've experienced in life with my husband, my children, with our business, it helps me to see it on so many different levels and bring everything into proper alignment. And when you can master those levels, you can flow and you can move, and success just begins to speed up for you, right? And you begin to learn shortcuts. You don't just learn shortcuts starting off. You learn the shortcuts by going through the manual, when you learn what shortcuts you can take, what shortcuts you can't take, when shortcuts are allowed to happen and when they're not, right? You got to go through each one. Like I said, Those that are higher can flow down to all the lower levels. Like those that are higher can come down and help those in those lower levels. But those at the lower levels can never go higher until they master the current level they on, right? And as you master each level, now you can go back. If you move to the next level, you can go back and help those on that lower level because you mastered it. You can teach them how to do it, right? That's like with me. That principle alone is why I was thinking about actually sharing my fast with y'all. Now I know you get into the New Testament, your fast should be, quiet in between y'all, but I want to help based on how I've learned. I want to really show y'all how to do this, right? Now, what you get in your interpretations and your own personal fasting will differ from mine, right? But at least maybe you have a model, somebody you can look at. Okay, so she did this. Okay, but that's all I'm gonna be able to help you with. Give you my example, tell you what I experienced. Now you have to take those principles and apply them to your life and track your own results, right? If you're following it, if you're fasting, whatever, your results should be good as long as y'all get it, right? Results will vary. But results will vary, but growth will always happen, y'all. Growth will always happen for you. So I want to give you something where you can actually look at and see. So that way you won't be stuck in life, so to speak, all the time, right? Fasting will help you bring balance in every area of your life. You'll stop being thrown all over the place and worried about what everybody else say, trying to keep up with the Joneses and the Jacksons and the bougie people, everybody, right? You'll learn how to flow in your own lane, and you will understand that that's okay, right? Because as you can only walk out your own lane. Everybody has a certain group of people that will follow them. Not that they're seeking to be leaders or anything, but there are certain groups of people that each individual person will have influence with, right? So even if through your life and you're modeling the people who are influenced by you, a lot of times it's your family and close circle of friends. If you can leave a good trail and a clean, clear, decipherable trail for people to follow, you would have done your job, if so to speak. If that's the thing, right? You can help people, master different things and different problems in their life. No, baby. Hey, Jackson, chill. Right? So we got into all that with Dana. You said that one scripture just plucks your nerves. Go back up. Hold on. She said, hold on. Yeah, she said to me, Galatians 5:23. She said to me, it keeps us subservient, where is eye for eye, and don't buck the system, right? So that's what I want to explain to y'all. I used to think about it that way, but now my understanding is a little bit better with that, because as I begin to practice it and put things in place, we'll see that, wait a minute, there is truth in that. There is absolute truth in that. And there is no law against those things or the fruits of the Spirit. There is no law against things like that. That's like righteous living, right? And that's what people seek for. People look for love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. There is no law against these things, right? And those who have conquered their worldly lust and all of these other things and brought themselves into alignment. Like, you can't bring the world around you into alignment if you're not in alignment yourself. So the kingdom of Yah truly is within. It starts within and radiates outward, So thank you for your input, Dana. I guess it's kind of our teaching lesson for the day. Look, we had an hour, 19 minutes. So let me read this again, and then we'll stop at the end of this paragraph, right? So let me go back up here. The adversary hates the covenant, right? And the covenant is what we were just talking about. This is how returning to like the Torah of Yah, just understanding these principles and actually applying them to your life. That's what begins to produce the fruit of the Spirit, right? Or a life that's noteworthy, and people can look at you and they can pull fruit from your life and they can learn from you. They may not be able to eat everything that you give, but there is something that's good for everybody that comes down your path. Oh, that's good. Oh, that tastes good. Yes, I'm gonna keep this. I don't necessarily it, but this is good. I'm taking this, right? You take what you need and you keep going, right? And you will learn different things from different people throughout your walk of life, right? I can look throughout all my life, even in my physical life, and I can share with you things that I've taken from different family members, the women in my family, even the men in my family, even with passing teachers, it's just about watching them modeling different behavior in their families and with their spouses and stuff. Right? I was like, oh, that's good. I'm gonna take that. And they could have completely destroyed their marriage or whatever, but there was something good there that I was able to pick off of, right? And I apply it to my life, right? So I'm in a habit of going through the fruits and like, is that good? Nope, that's not good. I'm gonna just take this because I'm gonna keep on going, right? And I just add it and I just keep going, right? So I learned how to see wisdom in every. At least I try. If there is something there that can be learned from an experience or even a household, even the worst household or worst people, you can learn wisdom from them, right? And even like in Proverbs, where you can learn wisdom from a prostitute. You don't necessarily want to be a prostitute yourself, but there's some wisdom that a prostitute has that would benefit married women, right? Not none of the nasty stuff, but her determination on to get things, just how she like it, but without using manipulation. But there are some things, right? How she cleans her house and prepares her house and perfumes her bed, right? Not to catch unsuspecting men whose root chakra or sacral chakra is all out of whack, that you'll be able to pull into your house and take advantage of them being like sheep being led to the slaughter. Not like that. But you can take that and apply it to your own life and prepare your bed and make it inviting for your husband. Just you see y'all get what I'm saying, right? There's something you can learn from everybody. You can learn wisdom from your children. You can learn wisdom from nature, from animals, if your eyes are open to see. And if you're not so full of pride, well, oh, I don't need that. They can't teach me nothing because I know it all. If you ain't got the big head, you can take wisdom from everything. You really can. Yeah. We're trying to teach our kids that every day they have to look for wisdom to learn and document. That's good, Dad. That's good. Right? So let me finish reading this because they're starting to get loud. Right? Okay. The adversary hates the covenant. Hey, chill. Give me like 5 minutes, y'all. Do that quietly, okay? I know, I saw it and I heard it. Thanks. And it's right there. She gonna get it up. Thank you, baby. The adversary hates the covenant and attacks you who is bride. Hey, wait a minute. Bella, take him down so you can take him down. Thank you. His servant, hold on. The adversary hates the covenant and attacks you who is bride. His servants you should avoid. Thank you. His servants you should avoid because we have been warned not to cast our pearls before swine or they will attack us, right? We just got to finish explaining all that. Like everything you can't share with everybody, right? Keep them jewels for yourself until you find somebody worthy to pass it down to, right? And you ain't got to go looking for them. They'll come for you. When a student is ready, the teacher appears. Oh, you back. Okay, come on, let's talk about this. I got something I've been saving just for you, right? Look. His servants you should avoid because we have been warned not to cast our pearls before swine, or they will attack us. In all things, be filled with joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Look, and also when you get that sacral chakra, that base root nature under control, especially as you're learning, you actually begin to learn patience with other people, right? Like somebody said, there's some things that we may talk about. You can't really talk about it with other people, especially people who are learning or whatever, because they ain't been able to. They're like, nope, you do this, and they still ready to condemn you to hell. Like, I ain't dealing with that. That's foolishness. Don't come talk to me. It just, you actually have self-control, and you can be patient with people as they grow and work things and work out their own salvation, so to speak, right? You become patient with them because you know that they're growing and they're not always gonna be like this. Their thinking, their understanding is going to change as they grow, just like it does when children grow, right? When you were a child, you thought like a child, but when you became older, you began to put childish things away, right? Y'all, this growth process and understanding who we are, where we are, who he is, and who he is to us, and how the kingdom of Yah truly is within us. yo, you are going to change a lot. So be patient with yourself and learn how to be patient with other people as they grow, right? Okay? We make that agreement. We're going to be patient with one another as we grow. We're not always going to be here. Our understanding is not always going to be first grade. We're going to graduate second, third, fourth, fifth. And as you graduate, be a light, be a help for your brothers and sisters, right? After you've made it out, go back and get your brothers and sisters who's struggling, right? You may need to do some tutoring classes. Yes.
There's no heart in there, and I need to cool this down in the microwave.
Okay, you, first of all, sis, that's my mug that my mama gave me. Get that cup I gave you, sis. Look, they over here concoct something, y'all. Look, let me hurry up. So be patient with your brothers and sisters, right? It's just grow in grace. Look, hold on. In all things, be filled with love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. If you treat others as you would have them treat you, you will put others above your own needs and develop character and behavior Yahuwah looks for in you. When we debate with someone who argues over the name or the Sabbath, thank you, they are at a critical point.
Now I can put it in the microwave?
Yes. They really want to be shown the truth. Be patient and loving and ask them if they love the commandments. This will give them a perspective, and all the scriptures stored in their hearts will convict them of sin. This is the beginning. They must be convicted of their sinfulness. For all their lives, they have been programmed to believe their sins are covered and never started in the right place. They started out of step. Their sins are only covered when they repent and turn from sin. Yahuwah enables them in their spirit to agree with the Torah, and they will pass from their mind of the flesh into our realm, the mind of the spirit. They will never be able to go back to the thinking that the commandments are done away with or blotted out, right? So that's something we all notice as we begin to practice it. We're like, there is no way that this stuff has been done away with, y'all. We practice this. Like, we practice this. There is no way that what you're saying can be true. It has not been done away with, right? You know, they will never be able to go back to thinking that the commandments are done away or blotted out. The Torah is spiritual, and the mind of the flesh cannot obey. Be patient with everyone who wants to learn the evidence and the foundation of your faith. They are where we all once were, and as it happened for us, they can be used to carry the true message to many others. And we're gonna pause right here, y'all. Oh, I like it. Right, hold on. Let me read my words. He said, "No one is hopeless if they are praying for truth. When it is shown that human traditions have become religion and partial truths have been mixed with lies and doctrines of demons, a rebellion will occur like no other has before all over the earth, and Yahuwah will return to rule over us. We are part of the restoration, the rebuilding of the temple Yahuwah made without hands, right? This is the temple that will come from the skies. It will be us. You have found you have found the true, not serene, right? The kingdom of heaven is within us."
These can fit 2 in there.
Yeah.
2?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Of course, it starts with us. Okay. They too loud. We gotta pause right here, right? Let me do this. I done made a couple marks, so we're gonna stop, but I gotta make another mark to come all the way down here. Okay, start here. Okay, y'all, we gotta pause. We done for today. We already an hour and 28 minutes, but you know it's Saturday, so we got a little bit more time. Hey. I hope y'all enjoyed the reading for today. I really did today. I enjoyed sharing some of this stuff with y'all. Okay. And thank you for your question, Dana. All right, y'all. So it is Saturday, July the 3rd, 2021, day 196 of year 3. We're reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 865. We read Isaiah 34, 35, and 36, and we read Fossilized Cousins, page 202 to page 203. We really only got like a whole page in, y'all. Right? Okay, so let's go ahead and do the blessing, which is found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 to 27. Remember the first 21 verses is the Nazarite vow. Anybody can take it, man or woman, right? And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto Aaron and unto his son, saying, on this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, may Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people. Dana, you said what chakra is patience? Because these people be getting on my nerves. The sacral chakra, the root chakra. That's when you get them attitudes all under control, sis. Right down here, the lowest part, because everything and everybody will piss you off, right? And that's something you have to handle within yourself first. That self-control is self-control. Self-control must happen within ourselves first before we can begin to show that patience with others outwardly, right? That's something, look, that's something all us mothers should have a very good feel of, right? Because if we got children, if you got a whole heap of children, right? You should be working on that sacral chakra at all times, learning self-control, especially when your children make you want to choke them out, right? So, yeah, I would say that's the base lowest chakra, Dana. The red one. Somebody piss you off, you see red, you ready to kill, right? Woofa. Get it under control. Breathe. Like, seriously, have fun with it, y'all. But seriously, it's fun. But I'm gonna start sharing my fasting journey. I probably maybe since I'm on day 5 of my water fast, I may just do an update like every 5 days. So I'll go through and I'll let y'all know what happened on the first few days, and like maybe like every 5 days I'll upload a video, and every time I do a different fast or whatever, depending on what I'm fasting from, I'll make a playlist on my YouTube channel and I'll put 40-day water fast, whatever, or maybe we'll do one. Oh, this one would be like water, social media, or whatever, and what I did and how hard it was or how easy it was, the issues I ran into. So I'm gonna try to be completely as transparent as possible, right? So you guys are able to see, so if you're running issues, you'll know what's going on, so you won't get discouraged or you'll freak out, right? I've done a lot of research in the water fasting and different things that happen along the way, so that way I can kind of keep myself going. And if I run into an issue, okay, what is this? Oh my gosh, am I about to die? Should I eat something, right? You got to deal with this, and you have to deal with everybody else's input that they've thrown into you ignorantly, and not realize that they've given you ignorant information because they didn't study. They're basing what they're telling you off of fears of their own that they have, and their whole sacral chakra is out of whack, right? They're giving you information based on fear, right? And so that's what we don't want to do. That's what we want to do, is be able to validate all the information that we have, clarify some things before we get started, so we can walk a clear, smooth path, and we can be prepared for the stumbling blocks that we know. Hey, chill. The stumbling blocks that we know are in a row ahead, So I'll do this video today. I'll make sure it's quiet in my back. I might need to go outside or something to do this video for y'all. And I'll probably upload it before the day is over with, right? So you can and I give you some resources that I use that help me along the way. So that way, when you get to day 2, you will know this is going to happen, right? I'm gonna let you know ahead of time the not necessarily stumbling blocks, but things you will encounter along the way, and don't be alarmed by them, right? Because this is why this is here, and this is what's happening. This is what's happening in your body. Here's what's going to be happening in your mind, right? And now that you know that it's coming, you can better prepare for it, and it'll give you strength to keep moving on. Okay, yep, she said that was coming. All I got to do is this. It may be a little bit different for you, just, but I'm going to let you know, here's what you're going to see. Here's what you're going to find. This is what's happening. Here's what you should do, right? You can move past this. Keep going, because when you get here, that's going to completely fade away. You're not going to run into that issue anymore, right? So I'm going to try and do this like to help y'all along the way, so you can kind of get to some of the things that I'm sharing with y'all, and that you'll understand, especially if you're having a hard time trying to wean yourself off the meat completely, right? If you still got brain fogs and different things going on, and how you're going to realize that different types of wisdom is just going to begin to come to you, right? But you need help kind of get to this point, right? You need like a study, but somebody to walk with you. Like, okay, because you may still be unclear, but I'm gonna help you get to certain points, and then you can continue to roll by yourself, right? When you're starting out, sometimes you need study buddies, you need somebody, you need a support system until you're strong enough to stand on your own. Just like children have parents, right? You who are required that they come into this world and have guardians, somebody that can help them walk along the way as they understand, right? There's somebody you can kind of bounce things off of, right? Until you're strong enough to walk on your own. Because there comes a time when you no longer need to be under the tutelage of your parents. Not that they ever go away as teachers, because they're always there for you, right? And you can always go back to them for wisdom. But there's a point in time where you can become independent from your teachers, while taking the wisdom that you've learned from them with you while you walk by yourself. And you can accomplish and you can scale and cover a lot of ground based on the good teaching and solid foundation and principles that you've learned while you were with your teachers and under their tutelage, right? So that's why I want to share some of the stuff with y'all so y'all can see. Because some people I talk to, they still just really don't kind of get, and they're still stuck in the Bible stories and can't get past certain points, right? And it's because it's time for you to graduate, right? It's time for you to graduate. It's time to start adding some fasting to your life, right? I'm not saying that's the only thing, but really, from what I see and understand, to get from the root-based understanding of anything, y'all have to add, it's pertinent that you add fasting to your life. And I'm not going to say it's mandatory, but in my understanding, and I've been living these last 42 years and trying to get to next levels of understanding, you can't even begin to broach that until you add fasting and make fasting a consistent part of your life, right? I struggled for years learning how to fast and try to walk in it, for many years, until it's just like I said, if you mess it up, keep going, don't matter. As long as you're trying, you're going to be able to go a little bit longer if you don't give up. You don't be like, oh yeah, whatever, I ain't doing this. You just give it all up and live as thou wilt, right? If you don't give up, you'll get strong. Just like when you're lifting weights. If you stay in the gym long enough, you'll begin to see the fruit of your works, right? You'll begin to see the results of all the hard work you're doing in the dark, right? Other people will begin to notice it, right? If you keep nurturing your plant and watering it, it'll begin to break through the dirt. Nobody see that there's seed in the ground when there's seed in the ground. Nobody can see that because it's covered, it's hidden. We don't see results yet, but that doesn't mean that it isn't being nurtured. It doesn't mean that growth isn't happening, right? Because before outward growth can happen, inward growth must happen. And with a seed, it breaks under the pressure of the ground, hidden from everybody's eyes, and it builds a strong support system and root system underground, which still nobody can see. Nobody can see that support system. Nobody can see how those roots are growing out and spreading deep and latching into the ground. So when you do break through the dirt, break into the light, when you're going to begin to encounter a whole nother different level of pests above ground at the next level, you won't be pulled up, right? You won't be pulled up, cast to the wind. Nobody can easily uproot something that's rooted good. Like nobody can uproot a tree, right? They're deep. Their root systems go deep and they go long. They go out till they find water and they are set there. It will literally take a bulldozer, not even a bulldozer, like you got to cut at a tree, right? And we want to be as solid and as firm in the ground as trees are, right? So these things absolutely have to happen. They have to happen if you are going to stand strong. If you're going to withstand all the foolishness that people throw at you, and give to you when you come out into the light, if you're going to withstand all their foolishness and continue to grow despite what they say and all the ridicule they throw at you, even if they call you a witch or you're leading people astray, you're turning people from the Messiah, you're not paying attention. I'm trying to teach y'all a principle, but I want to take you through the understanding like of what I did and what I began to understand so you can see, right? We have to remove all the weeds. We got to uncover the truth completely. This road of truth has been covered over so long. We got to go in. We got to move the. We gotta cut the grass down. We gotta cut these weeds, get the weed whacker. We gotta chop up all this stuff and get it out the way before you can even begin to see the path that has always been there, right? So all these 3 years, we've literally been cutting down false doctrines and weeds and just garbage teachings that have covered the path to truth for so long, right? Yahuwah told Rebecca, he said, hey, boy, hey, don't do that. Right? He said, make it plain, right? Make it plain so that anyone that hears the message, they can take it and run with it, right? And we need to clear the path to truth so people can see it and they can get on it, they can stay on it, and they can run on it unhindered, right? And if there are stumbling blocks that we absolutely cannot remove, we want to show you how you appropriately get around it. We want to let you know when it's coming up so you can be expecting it, so you can prepare yourself so you don't get sidetracked and get off. You can push through, right? And so that's it for today, y'all. We got it. Did I see your inbox? Helene? Which one? You know what? I probably didn't. If you sent it yesterday, I didn't. But after I get off here, like I said, when I'm uploading the video, I'll go through and I check some stuff just in case, questions and stuff. So I'll check it. I'm sure I didn't. If you sent it like yesterday, I didn't. If it was like after the video, I didn't. But I'll check it and I'll respond to it shortly. Chrissy said, oh, what you had surgery for? I got to go back and look at it. I'll go back and look at it. Okay. Chrissy said, I did fasting for 3 days only on grapes. You would be amazed how peaceful your inner self becomes, lovable, and my eyesight became so clear. I'm telling you, Chrissy, right? See, people got to practice it in order to see what we're saying. Because like I said, we can do a lot of talking to people about this stuff, but if they don't actually go practice it themselves, they'll never be able to understand what we're saying. And it just sounds like a bunch of hogwash to them, right? And it's like you're casting your pearls amongst the swine. Okay. Trina said, I really, really want to do a 40-day fast, but it's hard. Maybe, okay, but it's hard. And I don't have anyone here that would do it with me. I'm just going to have to buckle down and do it. That's what I had to do. Ain't nobody trying to join a 40-day fast with me. Even with my husband, not that he's against it or anything, but he's still working on some things in himself. But he was like, what? And what happened? The first time I got through it, it showed him like, shoot, you didn't die. Like, and I wasn't working out, but I was still taking walks. There were some days where I definitely didn't have the energy to do it, but I realized when I got out there in the sun, it seemed like the sun actually gave me strength. It's weird how it happened, but I had strength and I was able to like walk 1.5 miles, right? And it's weird because you get more energy. What happens is after your body kicks into ketosis, and it stops looking for food to come from outward inward, it begins to efficiently operate and do what it was designed to do. Now your own body is no longer, it knows that after 3 days of no food, it knows that it thinks that you're going into starvation mode, first of all, right? So if we were actually straining something, these are natural processes that kick in your body. If you do a little bit of study on it, right? It'll realize, it'll think, first of all, okay, this is starvation. Body, prepare for starvation, but you're not going to starve, right? The body kicks in and goes into this mode where, okay, we've already identified that there is no more food possibly ever coming in this way, right? So it's going to try to sustain life as long as possible. And since we know that nourishment is not coming from the outside in, now it has to begin to pull nourishment from the inside in order to keep the body operating as long as possible, right? Now, you know, you can't fast forever because you will die, but the body will kick in and begin to do stuff. So when no more nourishment is coming in through here, it'll begin to draw it outward, which is why your body has fat stores and things that it put away, right? And what it'll begin to do first, and this is why the body heals itself when you fast. When you water fast, the fastest way to heal you, now you can fast with fruits and veggies like Yaki. He's a great example of healing your body with fruits and veggies. But there's a level higher than that by i.e. not taking in anything at all, right? But water, right? And what happens is when nourishment is not coming from the outside in, it begins to pull nourishment from the inside to help the body operate outwardly, right? So the first thing your body is going to do is going to go to all your reserve fat stores and begin to burn that for food and use that for energy so you can still operate and move, right? And then it's going to begin attacking all those things that's going wrong in your body, because this is a poison or this is going wrong. If we allow this to spiral out of control, the whole ship is going to go down. So let's get this out of here. So that's why your body begins to heal. It's trying to restore itself because it thinks you're in a starvation lifestyle and it's trying to keep you alive as long as possible. But when we understand that and we can operate with the body, we can literally begin to heal our bodies from the inside out by causing these things to happen on purpose, right? And when the body is done kicking out all those things that will cause it to die prematurely, like cancers, diabetes, is going to begin to rejuvenate and renew your cells, right? Every 90 days, the cells are rejuvenated. You have a whole new cell group. Your blood is completely cleansed every 90 days based on what you have been previously putting in it for the previous 90 days, right? So you can prepare yourself. If you want to do a water fast, I would say prepare yourself. Yeah, take 90 days and prepare yourself with fruits and veggies. Load up on it. And that's being super conservative, right? You don't have to do 90 days, but it'll help a lot. Load up. You can even just take 30 days. Just prepare yourself to begin to do a longer fast. If you're going to go from fruits and veggies to straight water, it'll help you. You have a better quality of cells helping you to kind of get through these days, right? So your body, when no more food is coming in, is going to begin to burn up the excess fat stores. That's why people lose a lot of weight, right? Because there's extra supply of food that your body can burn, right? So it's going to eat up the extra fat first, right? So now fat, you become skinny, just depending on how long you go, right? And yes, it's going to kind of burn through some muscle, but remember, your body thinks it's about to die, but it's not about to die. So just understand it's the appropriate way so you can use this process and do it the right way. You should do a group fast and set up a group. Dana said, look, hold on. Let me go back up. Hold on. She said, you should do a group fast, set up a group me for support and encouragement. Start with 1 day, then progress the days. I probably will do a group me. I didn't think about group me, Dana. I use group me all the time. How you do? Let me look into that, y'all. Yeah, for added support. Oh, that's good. Yeah, we should do that, right? Okay, hold on. Or I could just let me think about that. So yeah, support group. We'll do that. That's good. Because since I'm gonna start doing it anyway. But yeah, just in case y'all got some questions. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna do that, Dana. So after it burn up all the fat stores, it begins attacking those things that are going wrong in your body. It'll begin to repair your pancreas. And look, guys, it'll even repair your ovaries and your fallopian tubes, right? Not that it'll create a new one for you, but like I had an issue. You would never be able to look at my family and everything. I had an issue getting pregnant. I told y'all about when I had the ectopic pregnancy, right? And I almost died. Literally had to medevac me to the hospital. I was bleeding internally. Like it was emergency surgery for me. And the doctors they said, we are shocked that you haven't gone into shock. Like we are shocked that you were still moving around talking to us, right? And so they gave me and my husband 5 minutes to think about, look, you going into surgery. We already telling you that we're not going to be able to save the baby. But y'all got 5 minutes to talk this over. Not that they was giving us a choice whether we wanted them to save the baby or not, because they told us the baby is not going to be able to be saved, right? But if we don't get you into surgery, you're going to die, Miss Murphy, right? So they stepped out of the room, gave me my husband a couple minutes, tears and stuff, about 5 minutes, and back in there, rolled me down to the ER, right? What happened was when they took my fallopian, they took my left fallopian tube because it was ruptured and I was bleeding internally and it was beginning to poison my blood, right? All this stuff is going on. But what happened was I didn't realize it was already scarred from what they were telling me. It was already really scarred badly. And I'm not even really sure. And I'm sure some of my younger days in life caused it to happen. Some of the root chakra stuff that I hadn't got under control caused it to happen in my body, right? Fornication, all that type of stuff, right? That will cause that. Now, I understand. I can be honest with y'all. I understand that's what happened, right? Being out there, not necessarily in the streets, but doing stuff that I shouldn't have been doing, right? That's what I understand now this day. That's why that happened to me, right? But what happened is when I when I started fasting and even putting birth control in your body, like the depot shot and all this stuff, it poisons the body. Yeah, to keep you from getting pregnant, but it will also scar your tissue and it will poison your body, right? So what happened when I began? First of all, I made the decision I wasn't going to take birth control anymore, right? We're just going to look. We need to practice this rhythm method and make sure we get it down. So actually, me learning the cycle of the moon and how it lines up with the body, like seriously, everything in nature will teach you about your body and how to keep it under control, right? And so I learned how to do that well. So you see, look, I wasn't able to go past 2 years without getting pregnant. Bella about to be 5. We learned something. And I ain't been on birth control, right? When I stopped being on birth control, and actually putting some of these things into practice and began fasting, my body began to heal my reproductive system, right? And so what happened was I found out when fasting, you become fertile a whole lot faster because it literally balances your body out inwardly first, and then it radiates outward, right? So as you're fasting, you'll also begin to notice that you may have outbreaks in your skin, pimples, and different things begin to happen because your body is healing itself, right? Your skin is the biggest organ you have, and whatever is going on inwardly will manifest outwardly. And you're going to see that for like the first week. You may get sick the first week while you're not real sick. You know, some people do, depending on how toxic their body is, because your body is getting rid of all that stuff, right? You might have skin outbreaks, but that will start to clear up in week 2. So be mindful of that. If you start breaking out, don't be alarmed, right? Just keep yourself clean. Do what you need to do. Oh, my battery about to die. I need to hurry and close this. But you will be able to progress. If you know what's coming, just prepare for it. Okay, got a few more days of this, and you're going to begin to see the light of day. Okay, boom, and that's going to pass. Okay, she said this will happen, or this is what happened based on research. This is what happens, right? And so if you keep going, your body continue to heal itself. And then after it begins to heal, and during this time, it also begins to pull energy from your fat cells and all the stuff that's been stored up so you can continue to operate and move until you're ready to eat again, right? So that's what the process of fasting does. And when you water fast, it's the highest form of healing your body, and it heals you a whole lot faster than what it would do if you're consuming fruits and veggies. Now, fruits and veggies is an awesome way to heal your body, and it will do the job efficiently. It'll take a little bit longer. I mean, not too long, because it's very efficient in what it does. If you use nature's fruits and things that help the body thrive, it will do that. And depending on what you got going on with you, I would recommend you do the fruits and veggies first. And after you get some of this stuff healed, then you can go a little bit higher and get the deeper healing down through here to completely push it out altogether. You never have to worry about it again. But once your body heals itself, you cannot go back to the previous lifestyle that you were living that got you to death doors in the first place, right? So if you put away meat, it has to be put away forever. If you put away dairy, it has to be put away forever. Otherwise, just like if you put away sins, fornication, adultery, all this stuff, it has to be put away forever. Or with that scripture in the New Testament, when a house is swept clean and the demons are pretty much kicked out, you know, that spirit that's been kicked out the house, it goes searching for another house to live in, and it's going to come back and see, or them temptations going to come back to you. I'm going to see if I can get back here in this own house, right? It's going to come and see that the house has been swept clean, nice and clean. But if you haven't filled that house with good things and with truth, and boarded it up, not boarded it up, but put security around it so those bad habits or those demon spirits don't come back in, that spirit gonna see the house been swept clean and that door's been left open. It's gonna go back and get 7 more spirits more wicked than he is, more reinforcement. It's gonna come back and take up residence in its original house. And the state of that man, the last state of that man, will be worse than the first state, right? And it's the second time where you find your bed in the grave. That's why I said when you clean your life up, when you leave this stuff, you cannot go back to those things, because when you do, it's going to take you to the grave. It's going to be extremely strong. You may not get a second chance, right? You may not get that second time to go through this, especially after learning the truth and then going back to the weak and beggarly elements of the world. Like it's like a pig going back to wallowing in the mud after it's been washed, or the dog returning to eat its vomit, right? These are these principles that scripture is teaching us, right? And as we begin to fast, we begin to see the underlying principles in real life, and we'll see that, oh shoot, this is not just a bunch of words of mumbo jumbo, but if we can see the underlying principles and how they're happening even if you can't see them, even if you're completely dumb to what's going on around you, it's going to happen regardless. Like just because you can't see the air don't mean the air is not there, but there are things we can look for to let us know the air is present, like the trees moving back and forth. Air is present, wind is blowing. Although we can't see it, we can see the effects of it, right? And people will begin to see the effects of your life and what you're doing that they can't see. They can't see what you're doing because you're doing it in the dark, but they're clearly going to see the effects of it by the fruit that you're bearing from your tree, y'all. And on that, we have to go. I got to go. And my phone is literally, it's about to die on Facebook. So I'm glad it didn't. I love y'all. I see y'all back here in the morning, bright and early. About to start growing my own food here. Amazon bought out all the Whole Food stores. They surely did, y'all. They surely did. Yeah, I'm going to share. Go to fruitsandroots.com. I'll put it in here so y'all can go. It's a good place where you can get fruits from with seeds and stuff. They'll deliver fresh fruits. I'll just go to the site. Y'all see what I'm talking about. If y'all having trouble getting some different fruits from your local areas or whatever. So, all right, y'all. Love y'all. See you tomorrow. 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, y'all. Love y'all. Bye.